This week on Jersey Matters, proms and graduations are a go as the state opens a little bit more. We'll talk with Meg Fisher, infectious disease expert for the health department, about that decision and the decision to force nursing homes to take COVID patients. Now you can go to the beach for sun, surf, and a shot. COVID vaccine centers are coming to the boardwalk. Phil Andrews continues his series of reports on law enforcement in the Garden State. And who has the best pizza in all the land? Do you even have to ask? Hello, and welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. Now my interview with Meg Fisher, infectious disease expert with the New Jersey Department of Health. Dr. Fisher, thank you so much for your time today. You follow some wonderful news by the governor that the state is reopening a little bit more. Did you advise on that? And what was the information that reopening a little bit more than we were before was based on?
So I agree with you. This is really truly wonderful news for everyone who lives in New Jersey and certainly for the businesses in New Jersey. The governor takes his advice from the Department of Health, but he also gets advice from other places. And what really allowed us to do this was the incidence of hospitalizations has continued to decrease dramatically. The incidence of new cases has been on the down slope for some time. So with that kind of good news, and with the fact that we now have immunized so many people, we really think that it is time to open the state up.
Do you see things improving still? It'll just keep improving? Is that the trend at this point?
That is certainly our hope. We know that we haven't yet vaccinated enough people. We want to continue to vaccinate more and more groups. We want to be sure that the most vulnerable populations have that opportunity. We're trying to make it easier and easier for people to get a vaccine. You can now get a vaccine without an appointment. You can go to a walk-up area in a variety of places. We have pharmacies as vaccinating centers. Every person in New Jersey lives within 5 miles of a vaccination site. So we really have the vaccine out there. Now the question is just ensuring that those people who were, waiting to see what was going to happen and making sure that it was safe, that they are comfortable now to go ahead and get vaccinated. And we're also trying to make it even easier so that people who have jobs have to be at their jobs. Maybe they have 2 jobs. They don't have the time or the energy to go get a vaccine. So we're trying hard to bring it to them as much as we can.
But it doesn't sound like convenience is the major reason people aren't getting the vaccine. I was at a hospital recently, I won't say which one, but I asked some of the medical professionals there, I said, well, I guess you've all been vaccinated. They said, no, it's running about 50%. And I said, why only 50%? Why only half? And they said, a lot of people are worried about the vaccine. They want to see the long-term effects. If that is the feeling among medical professionals, you might have a real problem throughout the state population.
You're absolutely correct. I think that is certainly one opinion among some medical professionals, but many of the rest of us are very clear that this is a pandemic and that the vaccination is the best way for us to end this pandemic and the best way for us to get ahead of the variants. Of course, the biggest concern is that variants will evolve before we get everybody immunized. So the more people we can immunize, the less the virus will have the ability to replicate, so the less it will mutate and the less variants that will come around. So I do agree with you that there are some physicians, some nurses, some people who work in hospitals who are still reluctant to get the vaccine, but we hope that they also, as they look at their peers and as they look at the leaders in their communities and at their hospitals, the fact that they are all immunized and that they are all still really advocating that everybody possible get vaccinated. So we're hoping that we can change everybody's minds.
Let's stay with the variants for a second. How many of the new cases are the variants?
So we don't know that for sure. As you know, we just test a small percentage of the total new cases to see if they are variants. We have seen over the last weeks to months that the number of variants is clearly increasing. We know that many of these variants are spreading more rapidly. There are studies in the United Kingdom that show that at least that variant is more likely to cause severe disease and get people hospitalized. We've seen a trend toward younger people being hospitalized in addition to the older folks. We're hoping that's because of the vaccine and because older folks now in New Jersey, 85% of our people 65 years of age and older have received at least one vaccine. So we think that's one of the major reasons we're not seeing the disease as much in older folks. Now we are seeing it in younger folks, but they're getting sicker and they're getting sick enough to be hospitalized. So that in itself is a reason for even those people who were hesitant before to think about it again, rethink the situation. We have very good data now, over 100 million people immunized in this country, and the safety appears to be excellent.
Explain the comment you made when you were talking about people getting vaccinated, and you said we hope to get enough people vaccinated before it evolves again, before there's a new variant. Is your concern that there will be a variant that'll be resistant to the vaccines?
Of course.
And that could happen.
Yes, that absolutely could happen. We know that some of the variants reported from other areas of the globe are not as likely to be influenced by some of the vaccines. The South African variant there's some evidence that people who are vaccinated with Moderna didn't respond quite as well. People with J&J didn't respond quite as well. So yes, that is absolutely a concern. And, until the entire globe is immunized, we're going to see these variants continuing to pop up. The good news, though, is that for the variants that are present in New Jersey right now, the vaccines work very well. So I don't want people to be nervous that, you're going to need a booster shot tomorrow or a different shot tomorrow. It's certainly possible in the future you may, but at the moment, your best bet, if you haven't been vaccinated already, go get vaccine.
Up next on Jersey Matters, we continue our conversation with Dr. Meg Fisher as she defends the Murphy administration's decision early on in the pandemic to force nursing homes and other long care facilities to accept COVID-positive patients. That's next. And now we continue our conversation with Dr. Meg Fisher from the New Jersey Department of Health. I just checked the CDC site before this interview, and New Jersey still leads the country with the highest mortality rate, and not just by a little bit. I think it's 288 to 267 for New York. And why is it so high here?
That is a question that I wish I knew the answer to. I think all of us at the Department of Health wish we knew, and obviously all the people in our hospitals wish that they could understand a little bit better so that they could maybe do some different intervention. We know that in New Jersey, over 50% of our deaths have been in older people. Certainly, older people are at more risk because of their other underlying health problems. So we've seen that. We also know that New Jersey is one of the most densely packed states. So our population density leads to people getting exposed more and possibly exposed with higher amounts of virus because of that proximity. We don't know yet if that makes a difference. The simple answer is we don't know. As with so many things about this disease and this virus, we still don't know lots.
You said over 50% were older people in New Jersey, and many of those people, a large number of those people, were in nursing homes and long care facilities. Was the decision to mandate readmission for COVID patients into those facilities a sound one, or did that contribute to the deaths?
At the time that decision was made, now we're talking about last March and last April, I was actually not working with the Department of Health, but I was at one of the local hospitals, and the hospitals were being overwhelmed. We were running out of intensive care beds. We were concerned about running out of ventilators. We were setting up committees to try to decide what we would do if we ran out of certain supplies, how we would decide who gets what. It was really a very dire time. And it was very essential for us to get patients who were recovered out of the hospital. So personally, I think that that absolutely was the right decision at that time, because at that time, we didn't have the luxury of extra hospital beds, of extra hospital personnel. We were drowning, and we needed to have the patients who didn't require inpatient acute care hospitalization. We needed them to go back to their centers and be taken care of there.
It was interesting how you answered the question. You said it was the right decision at that time. And I realize the panic of the situation and how little information there really was. Retrospectively, was it a good decision?
So that's a very interesting question. What we know as far as how contagious people are, we know that they are contagious a little bit before they get symptoms. The most contagious right around that time of the symptoms. And then by 10 days, the vast majority of people are no longer contagious. So if you have a patient who's been in the hospital for 4 weeks, they're not contagious anymore. So it is absolutely appropriate to send them back. And most of those patients who were going back to long-term care had been hospitalized for weeks, because they were people who had underlying problems and got very sick.
But Doctor, the statistics of the 5 states that had that mandate of readmission have higher rates in their nursing homes than most of the rest of the country. So there has to be something involved. And this is not, believe me, this isn't to place blame. I realize everybody was building a parachute on the way down and trying to figure out. But you still stand by that decision then?
Yes, there were outbreaks in long-term care. Were those outbreaks because of people coming back into the system, or were they because the people who worked in those centers, even trying to use proper PPE, and remember, we didn't know about personal protective equipment very well back in last March and April. So were they using that appropriately? Did they get the disease when they were in the community and bring it into the long-term care? We know now that definitely is happening. The CDC has reported several outbreaks where it's from unimmunized staff who are bringing the virus in. And then fortunately, most of the staff most of the residents have been immunized. But remember, a lot of these people are, again, older. They may be on therapies that suppress their immune system, and they may not respond as well to the vaccine, certainly as their younger staff would have had they chosen to get it.
Well, I'll leave you with this, and you can comment on it if you want to, because it seems, much of it seems political to me, is that the people in society who most think that we should be open and stay open and open up everything to everybody are the people that are most resistant to getting the vaccine, when it seems like the vaccine is the answer to reopening. Do you want to comment on that, or do you want me to just leave it with that?
I think it's an interesting and perplexing problem, and I don't disagree with you at all. And I hope that we can eventually change the minds of at least some, if not many, of those people. So I'm optimistic. I'm the eternal optimist, and I hope that we are going to get most of New Jersey immunized. And as the vaccine expands to younger people, we'll also be able to get our children and adolescents protected.
And we should end with that. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Meg Fisher, infectious disease expert with the New Jersey Department of Health. Coming up next on Jersey Matters.
Pretzels, popcorn, COVID-19 vaccine. Coming up next on Jersey Matters, we'll hear from an assemblyman who would like to bring COVID-19 sites right here to our Jersey Shore boardwalks.
Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. If you like to go to New Jersey beaches, and who doesn't, soon you'll have no excuse not to get your COVID-19 vaccine. Jersey Matters' Kimberly Kravitz explains. Kimberly.
Along with ice cream and amusement rides, there may be a new addition coming to your Jersey Shore boardwalks in an effort to keep the public safe.
Be vaccinated, be tested, but have fun again in the sun at Jersey Shore.
The idea is a simple one. Have your trip down the shore this summer include a COVID test or even a COVID vaccination.
It's just time to open up the state of New Jersey and our economy. We're headed in the right direction. The governor is lifting a lot of the restrictions, and I wanted to put in legislation in advance of the biggest weekend that we have coming up, Memorial Day weekend, that we would have mobile units available along the Jersey Shore, 141 miles of Jersey Shore.
So we paid a visit to one Jersey Shore town who set up shop for COVID-19 testing as soon as he heard the idea.
Remember, it's not just for Seaside Heights people, it's for everybody. People are excited that this is going to be over eventually.
The key here is that it's voluntary and totally up to local leadership to participate.
This is a local decision. It's the mayors and the councils, they make that decision, not big government.
Another Jersey Shore town mayor that we spoke with was not in favor of the proposed idea.
People are on, their COVID overload. There's enough testing sites. The boardwalk is a place that people go to walk and relax, and it's a sense of tranquility for them, as well as the beach. So the last thing I want is a COVID mobile anywhere near my beaches or my boardwalk.
So how do residents feel about it?
People carry COVID-19 and don't know they're carriers until they go to get tested, or someone they was close to working with tested positive. Then when they go, they don't have no symptoms. We need it because we all out here. We all in close proximity of each other. Yes, we outside, it's open, but still, we're around one another.
I don't really think it's a terrible idea. It gives more accessibility to people in the area. If there was a vaccination location here, all about it.
What better place to go and get your vaccine when you're out here looking at the water?
And the best news about it is that it's free.
If they have insurance, they'll take your insurance card or Medicare card or Medicaid. If you don't have insurance, it's also free. So it's no obligation to the person that wants to take the test.
Assemblyman Dancer says that he expects the bill to be on Governor Murphy's desk by summertime and so far has been receiving bipartisan support. Reporting from Seaside Heights for Jersey Matters, I'm Kimberly Kravitz.
Thank you, Kimberly. Coming up next on Jersey Matters.
I'm Phil Anderson. Coming up on Jersey Matters, we talk about police-worn body cams and the discrepancy in numbers as far as police-involved shootings are concerned. Last week, we talked about the diminishing number of potential law enforcement officers signing up for the police academies here in the Garden State and the rising number of those law enforcement officers retiring early. Well, today, we delve a little deeper into the current state of law enforcement. The night that George Floyd was murdered, the original Minneapolis Police Department press release read, "Man dies after medical incident during police interaction." The release claimed that Floyd had resisted arrests and then suffered medical distress after being cuffed. Well, we of course eventually found out that was a gross depiction of what really happened, thanks to multiple videos from bystanders at the scene that night. Video from cell phones during incidents like this have become a huge trend. Combine that with body-worn cameras, and law enforcement officials find themselves under the proverbial microscope, which only adds to the stress of being a police officer.
If people have a constitutional right to videotape law enforcement, and that's something that officers understand. Body cameras, we feel, are an officer's best friend in many cases, because what your eye sees in a quick run of somebody, moving quickly towards an officer, what a camera can do and slow down and show that officer, you didn't see the gun, but the officer saw the gun. We find that body cameras are really a safety tool for the officer and for the public. So I don't find that that's so much the issue. It's the punditry, it's the politicization of those decisions before the facts have come out, before the video has been analyzed. We've dumped those on the social media, and look what just happened in Columbus, right, where political leaders were calling that officer a murderer when really he saved somebody's life.
And we've long known that body-worn cameras can play a critical role in these efforts because they encourage professionalism. They promote better interactions between police and the public. They enhance our accountability efforts. And as an objective witness to law enforcement actions, they bolster public confidence.
Of course, given the current climate, perhaps one of the more pressing questions is, why does it appear there are more white law enforcement officers shooting unarmed African Americans versus African American law enforcement officers shooting unarmed Caucasians?
Again, in all honesty, Phil, I don't think you see the incidents on national news where a white police officer uses deadly force on a white subject. And if I'm not mistaken, that happens 3 times more likely. There seems to be, again, and it's media involved, and I know you're media, but sometimes that's the story and the incidents, and not that it makes it right either that it's a white officer on a white subject, but I think we have to. This country is so polarized by racial issues, especially right now in 2021. That I think if there was some way that we could get beyond that and get beyond and do those things where we are engaged with community at a level where I get to know you, Phil, I know your name, I know your face, in a way that we've never seen before. And then it's not white officers in a French blue uniform on a black unarmed or armed subject.
By the way, the Washington Post created a database of every known deadly police shooting in America since 2015. And as of this writing, 6,211 people have been shot and killed by law enforcement officers. 46% of them, that's 2,883 to be exact, were white, while 24%, 1,496, were black. In Trenton, for Jersey Matters, I'm Phil Andrews.
Welcome to Antique Barn Bakery. My name is Joe Costello. Come on in. When I found this building for sale, one of the things that struck me about it was the gigantic oven at the back of the bakery. And we realized they're not making any more of these ovens. And that's really what sets us apart from every place else. This is porcelain brick. It's over 100 years old. Again, 30-ton, 400 square foot oven, burns up to 2,000 degrees. And this was a functioning bakery for almost 100 years. And we learned that it actually was a mission at one point before that. So this was a place where the needy came in and got meals. And I think it's just part of the DNA of the building. It's in our DNA in a restaurant, is to serve people, to make people happy. So we do 36-ounce grass-fed bone-in ribeye. We do whole roasted chicken, and we do whole roasted fish with the head on. But we do any number of pasta dishes, and we really pull from the American palate. Frank Sinatra, when he was a child, would come to this bakery and buy bread. But when Frank Sinatra became an international superstar, he had a guy who would go around Hoboken with a suitcase and load up the suitcase with antique bread and other bakeries, and then take that to Palm Springs, California. So that's a great story, a great legend, if you will. The most difficult thing about the pandemic for us was, in the very beginning, was not knowing what was going to happen. That time was valuable time for us to execute our plan and to pivot into takeout and delivery, because we were not traditionally that. That has now led us to becoming national with our food. We're going on Goldbelly. So people across the country will be able to order food from this restaurant. We've brought back all of our employees, and it's just exciting to have everybody back, because for us, this restaurant is only as valuable as the people who are working here. That's the truth. And we really feel that. There's like a renewed spirit and everybody's so happy to be back here. And you feel that when you come here, you really do.
Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. If you are worried about getting back on a train or a bus to go to work, Jersey Transit wants you to know they are safe and ready to get back to full service. Here's my interview with Kevin Corbett, CEO of Jersey Transit. Hi, sir. As always, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today. What has life been for Jersey Transit during the pandemic?
Thanks, Larry. Thanks for having me back. It's always great, and I appreciate your interest in transit. But our ridership, it's been a roller coaster of a year. Ridership, went off the cliff. We were down single-digit ridership levels. We're an essential service, so for people, particularly hospital workers, warehouse distribution, grocery store clerks, et cetera, they needed us. So we kept running. We scaled back our service, obviously, significantly in the beginning, partially because we were hit. Our own workers were hit fairly significantly. With positive tests. We tested positive, et cetera. We've had 21. We've lost 21 of our NJT family, to the pandemic. So that was a real loss. We have frontline workers and even the head of our rail operations. So it was a tough year. And revenues, we get about roughly half of our revenue comes from the fare box. I would say, roughly 2.2 billion. 1.1 billion of that is from the fare box. So figure roughly 100 million a month. You drop 90%. You're talking 10 million instead of 100 million. So financially, it was certainly really going to show a dramatic financial crisis. And that gets into, you can get into a death spiral. You cut back to cut expenses, then people don't ride you. You don't become reliable. You're not frequent enough. So we were very lucky that the CARES Act was passed in fairly quick order. That gave transit agencies around the country that stopgap measure to get them through the year, so they could run service, regular service, enough to keep the system going. And that did plug a big hole that we had in our budget. One thing that was positive, though, out of it, making sort of lemonade out of lemons, was our capital work. We came out last year, rolled out just as the pandemic was coming. So we were able to really move ahead on a lot of our capital work and get those projects. We kept construction going. When do you believe you'll be back to full service? I'm an optimist, but you have to be realistic. I mean, we are budgeting cautiously. We are projecting for next year. Our fiscal year starts in July. So this July, we're figuring over the next year we'll be at 60% ridership level. Following year, we're thinking 75%, and then after that, back to 100. But a lot of what we're hearing is, sort of there's also pent up demand. So, I think that's a conservative projection. Let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure bill. When you heard that, the first time you heard it had to be music to your ears. I know the specifics are still being worked out. We're not sure even what the bill's going to look like at the end, let alone who's going to get what. But at the very least, there sounds like the Gateway project is in there. What are you hoping for from the infrastructure bill? Because there does seem to be some bipartisan support, at least for the roads and trains and bridges part of it. Yeah, I agree, Larry. And you're right on hitting bipartisan support. I spent my life in transportation, and it was always, there could be social issues that would divide Congress. But the one thing you always saw was it came to transportation, the T&I committee, usually had very strong bipartisan support, and certainly glad to see that. And President Biden's efforts, really, he gets it and he understands it. He rode Amtrak every day, and they call him Amtrak Joe. And it's not just transportation for transportation's sake; it really is underpinning the economy. And certainly the transit agencies around the country, and we are certainly very much one of them. You have these cycles of you get funding for a few years and it dries up, and having dedicated, predictable funding is really important, both for capital and even operating. You can't hire somebody and then say, we're going to fire you next year. We don't have funding, that uncertainty. I would say, Portal Bridge, you mentioned Gateway specifically. For us, we were able to get through the Trump administration. We were closed by the end of last year, the full funding grant agreement for Portal Bridge, which is a precursor, the 110-year-old swing bridge that was always causing all the commuters nightmares. We have the money, it's fully in place. We are building, we have it out to bid right now, and we expect to award the contract by the end of this year. So that's a really good building block for the tunnel, which we are working now with the Gateway Development Commission, setting that up.
Let's end with this. You have a lot of New Jersey Transit riders out there that are wondering what things are going to be like. Should I take Jersey Transit? If I have to go back to work, should I drive because it may not be safe? Just talk directly to them, calm their fears.
Sure. I would say if you look as a regular rider myself, I see that the people who are riding are comfortable. They're wearing their mask, and we are taking the top of the line efforts for sanitizing, cleaning, all our vehicles and stations. We've also put in technology for the handheld devices for the conductors. And if you're taking a bus, you can use that tap and go technology rather than where it was paper handling or money handling. So that's available. So there's a lot less contact now. So I think if you're coming back to transit and you haven't been on us, in a year or so, you're going to find that it's a very different transit system. We have new buses have been arriving. We have several hundred new buses that we've taken delivery of last year and continue to take delivery. So I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. We even have, just joking this morning, we had a press conference we're offering free rides for those people to get vaccinated, together with an effort we did with several private sector partners. And Governor Murphy yesterday also mentioned you can get a free beer if you get vaccinated. Some of the breweries are offering. So now you can get vaccinated. We'll even give you a beer. We'll give you a free ride. Everything but a foot massage. So if you come back to transit, I think it's going to be clean and it's safe.
Well, thanks. I look forward to getting back on Jersey Transit myself. I really appreciate your time. Kevin Corbett, CEO of Jersey Transit. Still to come on Jersey Matters, his restaurants were shut down by the COVID police, and he thinks he was targeted on purpose. He'll explain next. A long-time battle between New Jersey and New York over who has the best pizza has finally been settled. According to the Food and Wine magazine's latest pizza report, New York placed third, but New Jersey came in first. The article says Jersey City is home to the best pizza in the country. On Twitter, the article set off a Twitter war because, well, New Yorkers are sore losers. Pizza shops, restaurants, and bars have been hit hard during the pandemic, and they're still not able to open completely. In Wildwood, the owner of Shamrock Beef and Ale, Club Amnesia, and Castaway's Pirate Bar is really upset because he has been shut down by the COVID police right before the summer crowds are supposed to show up. Here's my interview with Tom Gerace. Tom, thanks so much for doing this, and I'm sorry for what you're going through. What happened with the COVID restrictions?
The COVID restrictions came in, and every week they were changing from week to week. We were trying to keep up with it. We're making adjustments to the bar. I mean, we even went so far as to take a chainsaw to almost a 90-year-old bar that's a historic landmark just so we can function.
And then you found out, according to the COVID police, that you weren't doing everything right.
Correct, yes.
How did that happen?
Well, what happened was during the summer, basically our outside venue was open. We would make sure people had masks when they walked in the door. We had about 7 security guys in there. I mean, it's just, how people are. Every time you turn your back, there'd be somebody taking their mask off or getting up. The ABC, the Liquor Control Board, would come in, they'd see that, they'd take a picture of it, and boom, that's a violation. So we ended up with 3 COVID violations in the summer, which we got 100 days of shutdown time for. And then most recently, we had our inside bars open when we were allowed to, and then we got 1 violation in the Shamrock, and that put us in the 4th violation, which is according to the ABC, that's a mandatory permanent revocation of your liquor license.
How does this affect you? How does it affect your employees?
Oh, it's killing me. I mean, we have mortgages here. We have all kinds of bills that are still coming in. Plus, I kind of keep the bar open in the winter just to keep my employees working. We're working at a loss more or less in the winter down the shore here if we're staying open. And then with the expectation of, some kind of income coming in the summer, which we don't have. And every single employee is now going on unemployment.
Has this happened to other businesses in the area, other restaurants or bars?
Nobody's had the shutdown that I have. I mean, the bar next to us, they've had some shutdown time, which they'll be open real soon, and they'll be able to reopen for the summer. A few other bars around us have had 15-day shutdowns or different stuff like that, but nobody's had their entire summer pulled. And according to my liquor, ABC lawyers that I have, they've never seen anybody shut down for a complete summer from down the shore area.
You feel like you were being targeted?
Oh, definitely.
Why?
Well, we've had some issues before. I'm not a local down here to Wildwood, New Jersey. I'm from Bucks County in Pennsylvania. Come down here. I've been coming down to the shore since the early '80s, and I figured I love Pacific Avenue. I love the bars down here, so I ended up purchasing a bar. And probably the worst mistake I ever made in my life, buying a bar in Wildwood.
Were the violations that bad? What happened?
Well, the last violation, which we hadn't had a violation in a while, which was the only violation of our indoor venue, which was the Shamrock. It was for a bartender failing to social distance from a table. Now, all our employees had masks on. All the customers that were supposed to had masks on. All the tables were separated to 6 feet apart. They basically said that our bartender failed to social distance from a table. And the second charge was that, they, at the time they came around, they saw, a table of 10 people rather than 8. And I mean, we have them set up that, there's only 8 chairs to a table. So somebody at the time the ABC came through must have pushed 2 chairs over to talk to their friends or whatever.
Yeah, and I understand that they required you to fire some management.
Yes. And basically what the deal is, it's a hardball routine from the ABC. Basically, they said they were going to revoke my license permanently. My lawyer came to me and said, we got an offer from them. Finally, they're willing to negotiate. Their negotiation is either you take this offer, which was shut down from May till October, and they wrote it in a draft that I had to fire the management staff, and a few other things in there, one other stipulation, which I really didn't agree with, but in order to keep my license, I had to sign the thing.
Yeah, I've never heard that in my life. I've never heard a government requiring that you fire somebody.
I can't believe in the United States anything like that would happen.
It's got to sting that now you're looking at all these other businesses that are opening up and are getting to open up more, and your liquor license is gone. Can you are you even going to open up at all without the liquor license?
No, we're basically a bar rather than food. I don't think we can survive just on selling food alone.
You will open back up though?
We will open back up October 1st. Yes.
Again, I'm really sorry. Thanks for telling your story. Tom Gerace, restaurant and bar owner in Wildwood. Still to come on Jersey Matters, forget paper or plastic. How about none of the above? We'll take you to a one-of-a-kind refill pantry in New Jersey. Next.
Unfortunately, if you are an allergy sufferer like I am, you are waiting and waiting and waiting, and you want the season to be done and over with already. May historically has the highest impact in terms of allergens. You start to see the tree pollen explode, the grass pollen starts coming up, and mold, well, that's always an issue for us here in New Jersey. The weeds will start growing and releasing their pollen in the coming weeks, and then we're going to be like attacked by everything. Our temperature outlook over the next week to 10 days or so, probably slightly below average temperatures here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So for your Mother's Day weekend overall, I really don't see any big issues. We still have a chance of some scattered showers or a thunderstorm coming through, but we stay unsettled with these almost daily shower and thunderstorm chances, even going forward into this coming week. For Jersey Matters, I'm meteorologist Nor'easter Nick.
Welcome back to Jersey Matters, a plastic-free pantry in New Jersey. No plastic even on the shelves is gaining popularity. Jersey Matters' Jennifer Marin takes us to the pantry and gets community reaction. Jennifer.
When you come to shop at Dry Goods Refillery, all you really need is a reusable container. Then you simply fill up exactly what you need. And the owner here tells me that this is a simple way in which everyone can make a difference. Rachel Garcia is the owner of the first plastic-free pantry in New Jersey. It's her passion project, but she knows the idea of a plastic-free life can seem difficult.
People don't really understand how to approach it or what to do first, but we're here to do everything we can to make it as easy for you as possible because we're not perfect either.
Rachel, who's a mom of 2 young children, says the idea for the business started with a personal wake-up call.
I think we just ultimately started realizing how much waste we were producing on a regular basis for the sake of convenience.
She and her husband tried to get around the plastic packaging, but had little luck.
When we came to the grocery store, it was one of our biggest hurdles. We would just see aisles and aisles of plastic and packaging simply to get the food home and cook it for our family, and we knew there had to be a better way.
And hence, Dry Goods Refillery in Rachel's hometown of Maplewood was born. At this pantry, you bring your own reusable container, then you fill it up with as little or as much of a product as you need. There's over 200 choices to choose from, including oils, pasta, spices, and beans. For Rachel, it's a dream come true.
And together, our community together has saved over 23,000 containers from landfill since we opened just over a year ago.
For her customers, it's an opportunity to make a positive impact in a unique environment.
I love coming in here and, feeling like you can make a difference for the environment.
There's so many unique products here that you really can't find anywhere else. Like, you come here, you feel like you're getting something special. You're not just getting something like a regular thing from the grocery store,
Right now, Rachel's Pantry is one of a few Maplewood-owned businesses housed inside the General Store Cooperative.
It's this amazing opportunity to really come into the store as a consumer, shop at a multitude of businesses, many of which are female-owned, and know that every dollar that you spend is going right back into our community, which especially this last year has been really helpful.
Most of the businesses in the cooperative are eco-friendly. Right next to Rachel's shop, you'll find Good Bottle Refill Shop. There, you also bring your own container to fill up on dish soap, detergents, and more. During a time in which soap has become such a necessity, just imagine how many bottles you've purchased since the pandemic began.
It's really a big problem because, you go to the store and it's just, oh, let me just buy this soap, and you don't think about it, and then that'll just end up in the landfill. 20,000 bottles have been saved just from our store of going into the landfill.
So whether it's food or household products, the shops at the General Store Cooperative all share a common goal.
At the end of the day, it is not about perfection. It's about finding those things that you can be consistent with to make a difference day over day.
So right now this operates as more of a pantry, but the owners here tell me they plan to expand the business and actually open the first plastic-free grocery store in the state of New Jersey this summer in Montclair. For now, reporting in Maplewood for Jersey Matters, I'm Jennifer Marin.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. Still to come, my commentary on the state of journalism. The greatest casualty of America's political divide is journalism. There are many examples of how politics has corrupted journalism, but 2 recent examples prove that it's not right or left or Democrat or Republican. It's all of the above, and it's dangerous and obscene. Let's start with a recent New York Post cover article that immigrant children being housed in a shelter in California are receiving a free copy of Vice President Kamala Harris's children's book, Superheroes Are Everywhere, as part of a welcome kit to America. Now, that's a great New York Post story and a potential problem for the vice president because she would profit from sales of the book. Republicans were quick to jump on the story and ridicule the vice president. North Carolina Republican Congressman Madison Cawthorn tweeted out, "So the vice president can send her book to the southern border, but she can't send herself. You can't make this stuff up." Well, actually, you can make this stuff up because the New York Post story was made up. Laura Italiano, the reporter who wrote the story, resigned from the Post and tweeted, "The Kamala Harris story, the story I was ordered to write and which I failed to push back hard enough against, was my breaking point." So the reporter resigned, but as far as we know, no one else was disciplined for that story, which was absolutely fabricated. The photograph on the Post cover was the only thing that was accurate. Yes, there was a Kamala Harris children's book on a table at a shelter for immigrant children in Long Beach, California, but it was donated by someone from the community. There was only one copy. There wasn't thousands of them, and it certainly wasn't given to every child as part of a welcome kit. After getting caught, the New York Times deleted all social media posts that contained the story, and they rewrote the story online, but embarrassingly, no retraction, and as far as we know, again, no one disciplined. The tabloid New York newspaper had just built up some credibility with an investigative cover story they had on Joe Biden's son Hunter's business dealings with the Ukraine and China. It was a story that was banned from social media, but the FBI later confirmed it was true. All that credibility has been lost in what reeks of a politically motivated fabrication. And then there's this.
The FBI warned Rudy Giuliani that Russian spies were targeting him to help spread disinformation and discredit Joe Biden leading up to the 2020 election. That's according to a source who tells NBC News that Rudy Giuliani received the so-called defensive briefing in 2019 while he was trying to dig up dirt on the Biden family in Ukraine.
Wow, that sounds like a big story. The Washington Post and the New York Times broke the story, and that would be a big story if Trump's Justice Department warned Trump ally Rudy Giuliani while he was being investigated for trying to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, the Democratic rival, to help Donald Trump win the presidency. Then it would be Russian collusion all over again. Only once again, it wasn't true. NBC, the Washington Post, and the New York Times all had to run retractions. It turns out there was a debriefing being prepared for Rudy Giuliani, but it was never given to him specifically because he was being investigated. Leaked information is a potential weapon and should be treated as such in newsrooms. Bias should not play into news decisions, but these days bias is embraced in newsrooms as they play to a particular political demographic for ratings and revenue. There should be no right and left in reporting, just right and wrong. We are in a dangerous time when journalists willingly give up objectivity for profit and politics. Journalism, real journalism, has always been used as a way of holding the powerful accountable and giving a voice to the powerless, no matter the political party. And it was done with one simple and powerful tool: the truth. No matter your political bias, that's all we should be demanding from every news source. I'm Larry Menti. We'll talk again soon.